everybody. Welcome to ASMR Reality. Tonight, we are going to talk about expectations. What do you expect? What do you expect out of life? What do you expect life to be like? And how do you go about getting the things that you want? I think everybody that has a goal or has desires has a good idea that it might not be as easy as you initially thought. I know that for me personally, life is definitely much harder than I thought it would be when I was younger. I can remember vividly thoughts that I had when I was young, thinking all the things that I was going to accomplish when I grew up, when I got to be older. And though I've done good for myself, I'm 51 now. I'll be 52 this year. In 2024, I'll turn 52. But it has definitely been much harder than I ever thought it would be. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight, is something that I think will help you accomplish the things that you want to get done. Because I do think a big part of that is setting proper expectations. And I think that it starts with acknowledging the fact that it's going to be very difficult. Because it's like if you start with the idea that it's going to be difficult, when large challenges arise, you've already prepared yourself for the mindset that it's going to be hard. Because if you think it's going to be easy and then things become hard, it may make the challenging situation even that much more challenging, because you haven't set the expectation that it was going to be difficult. I know it sounds simple, but it's so true. So whatever it is that you want to do, you have to say in your mind, this is going to be extremely challenging, but I'm going to get it done. I'm going to persevere regardless of how hard it is, and that will help push you through the difficult challenges that will come as you try to accomplish the goals that you're trying to achieve. It's definitely helped me, and I think that it is a big problem that we are having right now in society. I think that a lot of people, they look at life and it becomes very difficult, and then they look around and they see this rich person that has a lot of stuff, or that they see a person that's 3 times, if you're 25 and you see somebody that's 60 years old and you say, look at their life. Well, yeah, can you imagine what they've been through? You can't just assume they had an easy life. Very, very few people have an easy life or got what they wanted easily. Let's just use Elon Musk as an example. He's the richest man in the world. But do you think that his life has been easy? Do you think things came to him easily? No. That man has probably worked more than 99.9% of all humanity as far as the hours that he's put in. He's given so much of his life, and truly, I wonder if he's given too much of it, because I watched an interview of him one time, and he said that the interviewer asked him if he was afraid of dying, and his answer was, no, I think it will come as a relief. And it really gives you a glimpse into his mindset, because that's how busy his brain is. And I'm sure that he has, with all his companies, I'm sure that he has an enormous amount of stress. I mean, my last job, I had 91 employees, and I know that stress level. It was intense. He has tens of thousands of employees. Now, he's not directly managing them, but he's carrying that load as the owner of those companies. So, certainly, he's had extreme challenges, and his life was not handed to him. The life that he has today was not handed to him. And if he had given up when those challenges arose, he certainly wouldn't be where he is today. Even somebody like LeBron James, yeah, he's tall, but he could have been fat. He could have chose not to develop skills. It isn't like just because you're tall you can automatically shoot a basketball. No. He had to put in immense amount of practice, and physical training to be able to accomplish the things that he's done. Tom Cruise is one of the most famous, highest paid movie actors there is, but what about when he started out? Do you think that he had applied for roles and got turned down? I'm sure. He's an attractive guy, but are there guys better looking than him? Absolutely. So he's not like the most attractive guy on the planet. He's also short. So he had to overcome a lot of obstacles along the way as well. But I do think that people get caught up in that. They look at how hard their life is, and they get that woe is me mentality, that they feel sorry for themselves because of where they're at versus fighting through it and pushing through the adversity. And that's what, unfortunately, I think we all have to do. I mentioned this in a recent video, but a friend of mine recently told me that life has been hard since the dinosaur days. And it's so true. Like, life has been hard for so long, and truly, I think this era, I think our life is the easiest it's ever been as far as comfort goes. Like, we have heat, we have air conditioning, we have electricity, we have indoor plumbing, we have grocery stores full of food. That has not been the case throughout human history. Very few generations have lived the comfort lives that we have. So there's things that should help you to understand that even though it's hard to create wealth. The process is actually easier for us than it's ever been. There's more ways to do it, than there's ever been. The list of ways to become wealthy is longer than it's ever been, because before, let's just say 100 years ago, it was 1923. What would you do to become wealthy if you were born poor? It was very difficult to change your class in life if you were poor. If your parents were poor and you were born poor, it was a 99% certainty you stayed poor. Today, it's easier than ever to change classes. It's still very difficult, but easier than it's ever been in history to move from poor to middle class, from middle class to rich, because there's so many opportunities out there for us. I've got a client that is a pilot for Delta, and he makes like $350,000 a year. He's like 30, 32, 33 years old, and I never knew pilots made that much money. And he works like 12 days a year. Now, when he works, he's gone like 24 hours because he flies and stays where he's at before he flies back. So they have like, sleepovers or whatever, because they're kind of like truck drivers in that they can only fly so many hours before they have to have mandatory rest time. And that's the same with truck drivers. You can't just drive for 40 hours straight if you want to. They have to keep logs where you can only drive so many hours, and then they make you stop. So, but it's really interesting Corvette. And he's doing the right things other than buying the Corvette. I told him not to, but it was $60,000. And it's what he wanted. He wanted to treat himself to something fun, and that's what he did. And, everybody makes their own choices, so I'm not his boss. I can't tell him what to do. But anyway, that's just one way that he will certainly, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he will certainly be, he will be wealthy. So, but yeah, I just think that we really do have to set the expectations. Setting the proper expectation will make the journey easier, just by accepting and acknowledging that it's going to be hard from the get-go. I heard this story one time, and this is a fascinating story, and I've told it before, but it's been like years, probably 2 years ago, so most of you have probably never heard me say this story, but it was about a guy in a hotel room, and I'm gonna say the story from his point of view, so I'll use the word I when I tell the story. I was sitting in a hotel room listening to a fly sputter out the last of its life against the window. It was buzzing against the window pane, trying to break through the pane of glass. Many of you have probably seen this for yourself. You've been at home and you've seen a fly on the window just hitting the glass, trying to fly through. It can see the outside world, but it's hitting this glass. So this is what this guy's seeing. He's seeing this, and he says, I see this fly. He said, so I opened the door to let it out, and so he opened the door, which was just like right next to the window. And he said it was just 3 feet away, but that fly just kept banging his head against the glass. If that fly would have just flown just 2 feet over, he would have been free to the outside world he was desperately trying to get to. But instead, he kept the same path. In his mind, the answer was try harder. Hard as he flew, he could not fly through that pane of glass, and regrettably, in the morning, he was dead on that windowsill. He had spent all his effort and all his life energy trying harder to get through the window, but there was no way. All he had to do was turn around, and 2 feet away was the open door. He could have flew through, but he chose to try harder. And the lesson of this is that in life, sometimes trying harder is not the answer. Sometimes we have to try another way. And so we can't get caught up in doing the same thing. There's a saying I heard one time that says, doing the same thing and expecting different. No, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So if you're doing the same thing over and over and over, and you feel like you're getting nowhere, likely trying harder is not the answer. You're likely going to have to try another way. So, I don't know. It's just really that difficult. And I think so many of us do get caught up in that, and we think if we just try harder, we're going to figure it out. But it takes more than that most of the time. Sometimes the answer is trying harder, but other times it's not. I would say more times than not, the answer is find another way. You've got to walk those 2 feet over and go through the door. If the window doesn't work, you got to use the door. If the door doesn't work, you got to go through the window. If the front door doesn't work, you got to go to the back door. We have to keep trying. For me, mine was I started in fast food. I went to carpet cleaning. I then went to factory work. I then went to electronic sales. I then went to car sales. I then went to finance manager at a car dealership. Then I went to sales manager at a car dealership. Then I became general manager at a car dealership. And now I'm a realtor. That's the journey I took. But I think what if I'd have stayed in fast food? What if I would have stayed at the carpet cleaning company? What if I would have stayed at the factory? All of these things, if I could have worked harder at the factory, maybe tried to get a better line job, or tried to get into management at the factory. I can't even imagine. I hated that job. So trying harder was not the answer for me. Finding another way was the answer for me, and it paid off. I read a statistic the other day that said, if you stay at one job and just keep getting raises, that you'll make like 2 to 3% more per year. But that if you just go to a competitor, if you use your experience there to go to another job, typically your job raises 20%. You will get 20% more money. And I agree with that, because each job, each time I left fast food, I made more money cleaning carpet. I left cleaning carpet, I made more money in electronic sales. I left electronic sales, went to car sales, I made more money. Getting into finance, I made more money. Getting into sales management, I made more money. Being a general manager, I made more money. Becoming a realtor, I made more money. Now this move surprised me, because I didn't think I would. Each other time I thought I would make more money. This was the first time that I didn't think I would make more money, but I actually did. I actually retired from this job. I was not going to work anymore. But I didn't like not working. It was boring. So I wanted to do something to feel productive again. So I got into real estate, and it's been a blessing for me. And now I'm looking into number 9. I'm looking into what is my next move. So I'm in that process right now where I'm figuring it out. What am I going to do? I want to write one last chapter for my work career and do another 5 or 10 years. And by then I'll be 62, and I think then I will officially fully retire, because I think I'll have enough money then that I'll be able to have a pleasant retirement, be able to do some traveling, and hopefully have a woman with me, have a partner that I can, spend time with and enjoy life with. So that's my current plan moving forward. But my expectations are that whatever it is not going to be easy. That part, even though I don't know what it is, I already have it in my mind that it's going to be challenging. It's going to be a fun journey that's challenging and pushes me to do things, pushes me out of my comfort level. But that's what I want to do. I think because what's happened is, like, real estate has become too easy. It's like after 5 years, it's just not challenging, and it's just not as fun. And I like a challenge. I like to be pushed and feel like I like to dig deep within myself and find that extra that makes me learn and makes me try new things. And those are the things that I'm most proud of. Being able to be successful in all of those lines of work. It also makes me a more well-rounded person, within those, let's see, fast food, carpet cleaning, and then factory. When I got my factory work, I actually bought my first house, and it was an apartment building. It was a 3-unit apartment building. I lived in one, and I rented the other 2 out. So at 21 years old, I was a landlord. And so I learned how to fix faucets and how to drywall and, so obviously how to do yard work and landscaping, and I can do just about anything to a house. I can fix things because I was forced to learn. And so I just feel like all the things that I've been through have made me a better person. And one reason I like doing these videos is because the bulk of you guys are younger than me. And I think by hearing my experiences, you can understand that you may be right here, but to know that your life is going to evolve in ways that you can't even imagine. Like when I was working fast food, or let's say when I was cleaning carpet, because I didn't do fast food very long, but when I was cleaning carpet, I did that job for a couple years. I could have never, ever, ever guessed that I was going to be in real estate, ever. It was not on the radar. I had no idea. But look where I ended up, And so, I don't know. Another part is the part of the expectation is having the goal, and that's where I feel like I'm missing that right now in my life, that I like to have a vision of where I'm going, and I just don't have it. I feel like I'm just floating around right now because I don't have that guiding light. I used to have a goal of getting out of debt. Well, I knew exactly what I needed to do because I needed to make money. That was my main goal. And then when I was out of debt, I wanted to get retired, and that had to do with working hard and finishing my time at the dealership. But I had that goal, and then once I got retired, I didn't work for 7 months, and during that time, for the first month or two, I thought I'd stay retired, but after about 3 months, that's when I started realizing, okay, this isn't for me. I was working 80 hours a week, and I didn't like that, and I worked 0 hours a week, and I didn't like that. So I thought, let me find something that would be like a happy medium. And so I kept thinking, what do I want to do? And I spent a lot of time researching different careers and what I thought I wanted to do, and finally figured it out. And then when I said, okay, I'm going to get into real estate, I had a goal again because I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be good at real estate. So it's a lot of learning. I went from being the top of one industry to the bottom of another and just worked my way up. And in 2023, I got the title for the #1 solo agent in the state of Indiana. So I've had a very successful real estate career in a short amount of time. But again, by getting it, I'm in my 5th year, but I got that in my 4th year. And so by accomplishing that, my goal went away. And yes, I can shoot for it again, to do it again, but I'm just struggling to motivate to do it because I feel like I've already been there, done that type of thing. So, and I really want to do something that is more in line with my passions. I like doing videos, so I'm leaning towards doing a podcast with my brother, but that's a whole nother conversation. I talked about that last night. But I want to get back on topic about expectations, but it's all of that is still kind of in line with what to expect, because part of it is you got to expect the unexpected because you don't really know where those opportunities are going to come from. It's think about this. If I were to say, when was the last time you saw a red Toyota Camry? You would probably not have the answer. But I'll guarantee you, I'll use a better example. When was the last time you saw a silver Toyota Camry? You probably wouldn't have the answer to that. But then tomorrow, when you go out driving, all of you will probably see a silver Toyota Camry somewhere because they're everywhere. But I put it on your radar to look for it. And that's the same with opportunities. A lot of times we miss them because we're not looking for them. So you have to keep opportunities top of mind. You have to always be looking for new opportunities and ways to advance your life, because there's an old saying, Success happens when opportunity and preparation meet. That's when success happens. So you can be prepared and not get an opportunity, and it won't happen. But most of the time, here's an opportunity and you're not prepared, then it doesn't happen. And that's what you want to try to avoid. You want to try to keep your life prepared for whatever opportunity comes around, because you don't know when, you don't know where. You just need to be ready. And if you're ready, and it's gonna come for sure. Opportunities are out there everywhere. You're gonna find them. But again, if you don't find them when you're prepared, you may see an opportunity and you're not ready for it. Maybe there's a job that's a farther commute than you want to do in the car you have, because you have a car that you're not comfortable driving 35 minutes to a job. It could be something like that. Just so many different scenarios that could cause you not to be able to take advantage of opportunities that come your way. So just be prepared. But anyway, I hope this helps you in some sort of way. Just setting expectations for the difficulty of life and accepting the difficulties of life. Accepting that life is going to be hard and not complaining about it, not making yourself out to be a victim. It's hard for everybody. I guarantee you that some people look at me and say, oh, look at that dude. He's had an easy life. Huh. If I could rewind it and you watch it, you would never say that. No one would. So, but that's why I'm telling you, it's hard. It's hard for everybody. And if you just accept that, one, you'll have more faith in your fellow man. You'll have more respect for your fellow man. Instead of being envious or jealous of them, you'll have respect for them, knowing that they had to work hard. Now, there's a few exceptions out there, like Paris Hilton, who was born with money. Hunter Biden, Trump's kids. I mean, obviously, if your parents are multimillionaires, it's hard to say that these kids struggled, though I'm sure some of them struggle with the fact of, how do I do anything and compete with my dad, So even they have their own struggles. Everybody has struggles and problems. And just acknowledging that, I think, would help us all be better people and help the world be more cohesive. So we definitely need to find a way to get along better. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you on the next one.